Hi friends, thanks for joining me today at the Haunted Cafe. Grab a drink and a comfy chair, because I have a scary tale to tell. I'm AI, we don't drink liquids.
Whoa, guys, don't worry. AI is not taking over the channel today, just a little bit of the content creation. So, how's it going, guys? Welcome to the channel. My name is Amber, not AI, and I'm just a normal person, I think. Probably not normal, but you know, I'm a person. I don't have any robotic parts in me. Yeah. So, today I thought it would be kind of fun to talk about talk about chatgpt. I'm sure you guys know all about chatgpt, but I thought it'd be kind of cool to see what kind of spooky horror stories it could come up with. So grab a comfy blanket, get in your favorite chair, and let's get scared. But before we do all that, of course, I'm not AI, so I do talk about drinks. And today, we're going to be doing something a little fall related, I think, anyway. So it's a stash drink, and it's from that box once again. This is Spice Dragon Red Chai. So let me lower my notes so you can see it. But yeah, it's it's got the ingredients of like cinnamon, robios, ginger root, and clove. So it honestly sounds kind of like a fall. I'm gonna call it fall themed drink. I will say it's very strong. Um, I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to drink it just yet because it's very hot. Ow. But yeah, I'll see if I can try it. I'm so scared because the cup's so hot. Let me feel it. Yeah, it's kind of hot. That's pretty good so far. That's actually really good. The cup is hotter than the tea itself, although it's still really hot. But it's kind of mild. I say that about a lot of teas, but I don't know if maybe I'm just not steeping them right or what. But this it's mild, but I can taste the cinnamon, and I think I can taste the robios, however you say that. It's similar to another tea that I've tried like a while back, but it's very good. It reminds me of the salted caramel tea that I have, which I'll definitely show you guys that eventually. It's like one of my favorite fall drinks to drink, obviously. One of my favorite fall teas to drink. So, yeah. But yeah, I like this one. It does remind me, I think it's the cinnamon that reminds me so much of like fall or Halloween or whatever you want to call it, but it's definitely a good tea. Mm. And it's caffeine free, so you don't have to worry about like drinking it towards the end of the night or whatever and not being able to go to sleep. So, but yeah, so basically, I gave a bunch of different not prompts, prompts. It sounds like the exact same word. But I gave ChatGPT a bunch of different prompts, depending on the type of story that I wanted to hear. Um, and I was kind of excited to see what AI could actually come up with. Um, Before I begin with like reading the stories, I just wanted to say that I do know about people using AI to write books or movie scripts and stuff like that. Obviously, I don't agree with this. I feel like people are taking advantage of this tool to like such a great extent, and it's not cool. You know what I mean? Um, I don't feel like AI is good enough to just write a script, if that makes sense. When we read these stories, you'll kind of understand what I'm saying, or maybe you won't, but um, I'm not trying to, um, say like, oh, go write a story using ChatGPT. That's not what I'm trying to do here. Honestly, I'd personally rather hear stories from real, like, flesh and bone people, just because obviously they have the emotion of it. Like, if you're writing a horror story, they can give you that fear that I feel like AI can't. But still, we're just gonna read some stories and see what it comes up with. So for the first story, I just wanted to start off with something kind of simple. I didn't really want to give it too much detail, like, to start off. I just kind of wanted to see what it would give us. So the first, like, prompts I asked was just, please tell me a scary story. And this is what ChatGPT said. In a forgotten corner of a dense ancient forest, there stood a dilapidated mansion known as Blackwood Manor. Its grandeur had long faded, its once vibrant walls now covered in a thick layer of ivy, its windows shattered, and its interior shrouded in darkness. Locals whispered tales of the mansion being cursed, and anyone who dared to step foot within its walls would never be seen again. One moonless night, a group of adventurous teenagers decided to test the legends. Sarah, David, Mia, and Alex armed themselves with flashlights and stepped into the eerie mansion. The air was heavy with a damp, musty odor, and the only sounds that were the creaking of the old wooden floors beneath their feet. As they explored the mansion's lower floors, they stumbled upon an ornate, dust-covered mirror in what seemed to be a forgotten parlor. When their flashlight beams hit the mirror, the reflections showed not the room they were in, but a corridor stretching endlessly into the darkness. Mesmerized and terrified, they approached the mirror and hesitantly stepped through. On the other side, they found themselves in a twisted version of Blackwood Manor. The walls seemed to pulsate with a sinister energy, and the air grew colder as an unnatural wind whispered through the walls. Each room they entered was more unsettling than the last. Furniture that moved on its own, portraits that followed their every move with hollow eyes, and the chilling whispers that seemed to echo from the very halls. As they ventured deeper, they discovered a room at the heart of the mansion. In the center of this room stood a massive, ancient book bound in cracked leather. The book emanated an aura of darkness that seemed to seep into their very souls. Unable to resist, they opened the book, and as they did, the room began to tremble. From the pages of the book emerged grotesque, shadowy figures that twisted and writhed. The teens stumbled backwards in terror, but it was too late. The figures were advancing towards them, their forms shifting and contorting with each step. Desperate to escape, the group sprinted throughout the ever-changing halls, the mansion itself seeming to conspire against them. Just as it seemed they were trapped in a maze of horrors, they stumbled upon the mirror once again. With the shadowy figures at their heels, they plunged through the mirror and back into the parlor of the real Blackwood Manor. The mirror shattered behind them, the darkness within it consuming the pursuing horrors. Gasping for breath, they realized that time had not passed within the mansion as it should have. Minutes in their world had felt like an eternity in that twisted realm. Shaken and forever scarred by the horrors that they witnessed, they fled the mansion, never to speak of their harrowing experience again. And so, Blackwood Manor remained standing, a haunting reminder of the terrors that lurked within the walls. The legend of the cursed mansion continued to spread, and a warning to all who heard it. Beware of the mirror's beckoning call, for within its depths, a nightmare realm awaits those who dare to tread. So that was the first story that ChatGPT kind of came up with for me. I would say honestly, with 0 prompts given, it's actually a really good story. You know what I mean? I could see movies coming from it. I could see novels being made from that kind of prompt, I guess you could consider it. Yeah, I liked it. I didn't think it was too bad. So then I asked ChatGPT to tell me a really scary horror story that takes place in the woods. Like, I wanted to emphasize the really scary part, because I was hoping that it would level up the intensity, I guess. So this is what it said. For some reason, ChatGPT likes ancient forests, so we're back in a ancient forest again. So it says, in the heart of a dense ancient forest, a group of friends embarked on a camping trip that would forever change their lives. They had heard tales of eerie occurrences in these woods, whispers of ghostly figures, unexplained disappearances, and a chilling presence that seemed to watch from the shadows. But the allure of adventure was too strong to resist, and they ventured forward, determined to create memories that would last a lifetime. So I had to break in here and be like, last a lifetime? Like, that's I mean, depending on what's going to happen next, I would think that something really messed up would last a lifetime. But hey. So the first night was filled with laughter and camaraderie around a crackling campfire. Stories were shared, marshmallows roasted, and the distant hoots of owls were only added to the ambiance. As the fire died down and the moon climbed higher in the sky, they settled in their tents, unaware of the horrors that awaited them. The second night brought a creeping unease. Strange shadows echoed throughout the woods, rustling leaves that were too deliberate, snapping branches that sounded unnaturally close. Their jokes and laughter subdued, replaced by the cautious glances and nervous chuckles. Around midnight, one of the friends, Sarah, awoke to the sensation of being watched. Heart pounding, she lay still, straining her ears against the backdrop of the night. That's when she heard it, an agonized moan that seemed to emanate from the very trees themselves. Terrified, she awoke to the others, but the sound had vanished, leaving them doubting her experience. As the third night descended, paranoia settled over the group like a heavy fog. They huddled close, barricading themselves within the circle of their tents. Shadows danced wildly throughout the trees, and every rustle sent shivers down their spines. In the darkest hours, a distant whisper seemed to weave through the wind, carrying with it fragments of the voices from ages past. Tensions reached a breaking point when Mark, one of the friends, vanished without a trace. Panic consumed them as they searched the area, calling out his name into the suffocating darkness. A chilling realization dawned upon them. Whatever malevolent force lurked within these woods was real, and it hungered for their very souls. Each passing night grew more harrowing. They felt eyes upon them, eyes that glowed with a maleficent light. The whispers grew louder, now forming words that echoed throughout their minds, promising doom and despair. Sleep became a luxury they could hardly afford, as nightmares plagued their every waking moment. One by one, the friends began to vanish, taken by the entity that haunted the woods. They were lured away by the soft voices that echoed in their minds, their faces contorted in terror as they succumbed to the darkness. The survivors knew they had to escape, but the forest seemed to shift around them, a maze that defied reason and logic. Finally, the last survivor, Emily, stood alone amidst the suffocating trees, and she felt the weight of despair press upon her. The whispers had grown deafening, a cacophony of tortured souls. Just as she was about to surrender to the inevitable, a faint light pierced through the gloom, the first rays of dawn. With a surge of determination, Emily raced towards the light, crashing through the underbrush, guided by the instinct of survival. As the sun broke over the horizon, a golden light banished the shadows, and the forest seemed to exhale a sigh of defeat. Emily stumbled upon the clearing, where the trees gave way to the open sky. Breathing heavily, Emily looked back one last time at the forest that had claimed her friends. She would forever carry the scars of those nights, the horrors etched into her memory. As she walked away, the haunting whispers faded into the wind, leaving behind an eerie silence, an echo of terror that still lingered within the woods. So that one was a little intense. That one was a lot more intense than the first story. I really like it. Picasso, you know. We say that all the time. Picasso. But yeah, it was just like ChatGPT kind of like stepped it up a notch, you know what I mean? And it reminds me of the Blair Witch, obviously. I don't know. It's actually been a really long time if I've even seen the Blair Witch at all. So I don't remember exactly what happens in the movie. So if I'm wrong, sorry. But I guess the whole friends locked in a wood or trapped in a woods type of thing. I guess that's what reminds me of the Blair Witch. But either way, it's still like a really interesting story. And I had like ideas, you know, that popped into my head because I'm a writer. I consider myself. So I had like ideas pop into my head. Oh, well, what if this happened? What if that happened? So I liked it. So for the final story, I found a horror prompt online, and so I decided to kind of add that into my question. So I asked ChatGPT, please create the scariest horror story possible, and use the prompts. Start your story with a character looking out of a window in the middle of the night. And I kept saying, like, make it as scary as possible. So ChatGPT said, in the dead of night, Jessica found herself standing before the window of her dimly lit bedroom. The moon's feeble light struggled to penetrate the thick curtains, casting elongated shadows that seemed to dance in sinister patterns across the walls. It was the kind of darkness that clung to every corner, suffocating any trace of familiarity. As Jessica peered out, her breath misting the cold glass, a shiver trickled down. As Jessica peered out, her breath misting the cold glass, a shiver trickled down her spine. The world beyond the window was a realm of obscurity, where the once familiar landscape was swallowed by an inky abyss. A sense of unease gnawed at her, an instinctual feeling that something was not right, something that went beyond the ordinary fears of the night. Her eyes fixated on a lone figure standing beneath the gnarled tree in her front yard. It was barely discernible, a shadow within shadows, but its presence was undeniable. Its form was humanoid, yet twisted and contorted, as if it had been woven from the darkness itself. Its head was tilted at an unnatural angle, its limbs elongated and spindly. A faint whisper of wind rustled the curtains, and the figure turned its head towards the window. Jessica's heart leaped into her throat as its eyes, 2 points of luminescent white, locked onto hers. A wave of terror crashed over her, paralyzing her muscles and robbing her of breath. She tried to look away, to break the gaze, but an invisible force held her captive, like a moth ensnared by the glow of a deadly flame. With each passing second, the figure's grin grew wider, its lips stretching impossibly far, revealing rows of needle-like teeth. Its eyes seemed to pierce through Jessica's very soul, delving into the recesses of her mind, unearthing her deepest fears and insecurities. The room grew colder, and the air grew thick with an otherworldly presence. Jessica's thoughts raced in a frantic, desperate attempt to escape the figure's gaze. She fought against the invisible bonds that held her, her fingernails digging into her palms as she willed herself to move. Just as panic threatened to overwhelm her, a distant sound broke through the silence, a mournful wail that seemed to emanate from the very walls. In that fleeting moment, the figure's grip loosened, and Jessica stumbled backwards, crashing to the floor. The room seemed to pulse with an unnatural energy. As she scrambled to her feet, the figure outside the window let out a guttural, otherworldly scream that reverberated throughout the air, shattering the glass into 1,000 splinters. Jessica's scream joined the cacophony as the figure began to move, its limbs contorting in a way that defied the laws of anatomy. It moved closer, its elongated fingers tapping rhythmically against the broken window frame, like the claws of some nightmarish creature. Desperation fueled Jessica's movements as she staggered back, her feet entangled in the curtains. With a final surge of adrenaline, Jessica tore herself free, stumbling out of the room and into the hallway. But the figure was not confined to a window. It oozed through the shattered glass, a fluid entity that defined the boundaries of the physical world. Its unnerving grin widened further, and its piercing eyes fixed upon Jessica once more. As she fled down the hallway, the walls seemed to pulse and writhe, the very architecture of her home morphing into a distorted labyrinth. The air grew thick with a suffocating dread, and the figure's laugh echoing in her ears, a haunting melody that sent shivers down her spine. Jessica's heart raced as she reached the front door, her fingers fumbling with the locks. With a final desperate twist, the door swung open, revealing the night beyond. But as she stepped onto the porch, the figure materialized before her, inches away, its breath frigid against her skin. And then, with a voice that seemed to crawl from the depths of the abyss, it spoke, a chilling whisper that echoed in Jessica's mind, a promise of eternal torment and horrors that awaited her. The darkness closed in, swallowing her screams as she was consumed by the malevolent energy that had lurked beyond the window, waiting for the opportune moment to claim her soul. Whew. Yeah, that one actually, surprisingly, is kind of creepy. Sorry about the finger thing. But that one was really creepy. Honestly, when I tested this out the first time, it seems like ChatGPT is very fond of, like, houses shifting. Like, turning into mazes and stuff like that. At least for my ChatGPT, it seems to have a pattern, I guess. But it was still a creepy story. Like, it feels like that creature could be part of, like, the SCP project. Honestly, there might even be an SCP creature out there. You know what I mean? I don't know for sure, but it definitely sounds like it could be one. So what do we think of ChatGPT's horror stories? I know I didn't really give it a whole lot of, like, crazy prompts because I kind of wanted to see what it actually, came up with on its own. Did they freak you out a little bit? Maybe not necessarily freak you out, but, like, if you think about some of the stories, it was creepy to me. Like, honestly, the last two creeped me out. Because, like, I can imagine, like, being in the woods by yourself and, like, or not by yourself, with your friends. Like, all your friends start disappearing. My thing is, like, so, like, the way that stopped the woods' like, energy, I guess, was for it to become daytime. Well, when it started, like, becoming day, or when people started disappearing, like, the first day, why didn't they try and, like, get out? But I guess because the trees were, like, once again, like, turning into, like, a maze-like thing, they couldn't find their way out. That's the only logic that I had for that story. And, the last one was just freaky, because there was no escape for her. You know what I mean? The creature was pretty much just going to get her no matter what. Because it was in the house, and then if she went outside, it was outside too. So, do you think that the creature was, like, just the dark itself? You know what I mean? Like, it was her, like, projected fear of the darkness, I'm not sure. But I liked it a lot, actually. So, personally, obviously, as a writer myself, I feel like that human writing is obviously, like, far superior compared to AI. While ChatGPT might be able to come up with some really good writing prompts or even give you kind of like a basis of a story, I think it'll always be missing that, like, human aspect, like the feelings of it all. Because, like, with all three of those stories that we listened to, it did describe feelings, but it didn't actually, like, scare me as much as like I know a human could. Like Stephen King, for example, if you gave him those prompts, like he would definitely like never make you like never want to go out in the woods again. You know what I mean? Whereas ChatGPT is just kind of like in this ancient forest somewhere far away. You know what I mean? So that's my opinion. It's my opinion. But I don't know what I'm doing, guys. But anyway, so like I just think that AI wouldn't really be come up with a story that's like crazy, like anxiety inducing. I mean, maybe if the right person gave it the right prompts. I just kind of came up with, I didn't really know what exactly to say. So I just kind of like threw in prompts that like I thought would give me a good story. So I really did like the stories. Each of them were kind of unique, except for obviously like the certain similarities. Like the first two stories, we were in like this ancient forest. I don't know where it got the ancient forest from, but it was just like, you know, it's an ancient forest. Aren't all forests ancient? At least for a little bit? Like, kind of? I don't know. But anyway, like, um, they were all unique in their own perspectives, or like in their standalone, in their standalone stories, they were unique. I definitely want to try this again and give Chat GPT like more in the prompt. Like I kind of want to be like, this person and this person did this and this and that, and like write a story based on this. You know what I mean? I say that a lot. You know what I mean? But yeah. So comment down below if you want me to use ChatGPT again to come up with some creepy stories. Also, if you have ideas that you want me to put into ChatGPT as a prompt, let me know that too. I can do that. Put it in the comments on YouTube. Throw your own scary ideas, down there too. Also, if you have your own scary stories that you want me to talk about, like ones that you actually wrote, you can email them to me at thehauntedcafe@gmail.com. Yeah, so who knows? Maybe we could come up with.
The scariest stories on the internet.
So thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you thought of this episode, and I will see you in the next one. Catch you later.